Hello! We have a lot to talk about today. First, we're going to learn how to analyze a swatch. So let's say you've made your swatch and now you have to measure it and make decisions about if it's the right size and do you need to make another swatch? So that's what's coming up. The first step is to pin the swatch onto a blocking mat. And you don't want to pull it like ridiculously tight because that's not how you'll wear the garment. So you do want it, however, to be blocked. And what I mean is to make right corners. Since this is supposed to be a rectangle, I can see that the piece skews to the right. We call that bias, B-I-A-S. And so I have a decision to make. Do I want to keep the pattern as is, understanding that there's some bias in the pattern, and that's okay, but just design my garment and incorporate the bias? Or do I want to adjust my pattern so that this slant is offset somehow by a slant going in the opposite direction? So that is to be determined. Something else to keep in mind is that I have not I haven't washed this swatch. So I do know that this yarn will expand and grow a little bit after blocking. Okay, but this is it's a good starting point to have a good guesstimate as far as how many stitches to cast on for the entire bottom of a sweater. And I pretty much know what my measurements are, and so we're going to use a gauge measure. And so what you do is you put this L-shaped hole on top of your swatch, and you count how many rows you have, or you count how many stitches you have going across. So going at the bottom here, it's difficult for me to see. I'm sure it's difficult for you as well. So I'm going to go up to the main pattern, which consists of knit stitch and yarn over. So I know that my pattern is knit 3, yarn over, knit 2 together. So I see that I've got knit 2 together here. That counts as 1 stitch. The 3 knits, 2, 3, 4. The yarn over is 5. The knit 2 together is 6. And then 7, 8. Yeah, so we're going to say that there are 8 stitches total in a 2-inch span. I can try somewhere else in the pattern and just double check. So there's the knit 2 together, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 over here. So we're looking at between 8 and 9 stitches per 2 inches. So between 4 and 4.5 stitches per inch. I don't normally worry about how many rows are in 2 inches because it's easy enough just to make something longer or shorter. But once you've cast on, say, 120 stitches and you've started your work, it's a lot harder to lop off the side of the work. So as I had said, there are 9 stitches when I was reading in my gauge swatch. There were 9 going across. So I put that here, 9 stitches for every 2 inches. And that works out to 4.5 stitches for an inch. That'll go down here as well. And to find out how many stitches to cast on if you are working in the round, you have to know how many inches the bottom of your sweater is going to be. And so mine was 36. And then you multiply 36 times 4.5. So 36 times 4 is 144 plus 18 is 162. Okay, So if you were working this sweater in the round, you would cast on 162 stitches. If you were working it in two pieces, the front and the back, you would take 162, divide it by 2, and that gives you 81. So I'll cast on 81 stitches for the front of my sweater and 81 for the back.